Here's a beautiful Filipino trait that can turn toxic, and it's over empathizing. And first, let me tell you why it's so beautiful, and then how it can turn also toxic in the Filipino culture. When you empathize with someone, you could sense their feeling of whether they're celebrating something or something is painful. You could relate to them. It's almost like you can imagine being in their shoes. Why it is so beautiful, I think that's the gift of Filipinos. They are so, you could just see their faces when they're watching someone in pain. It's almost like it's happening to them. I think that's our sense of kapwa, our brotherhood, our sisterhood. And you might also know that I write my blogs. It's over at clemencyjuice.com. I write many blogs, articles on cultural nuances of the Filipino culture. Check it out. I've mentioned a few things of possibly why we are so attuned with each other. So it's such a beautiful trait. I think many people in the world could learn a thing or two from Filipinos, but anything beautiful done in the extreme also has its shadow side when we over empathize with someone. So let me talk about the toxic part when we do something to the extreme. Okay, when we extremely over empathize, mind you, empathizing is a wonderful thing, but when you are doing it in the extreme, it's almost like a math equation where it's like 1 plus 2 equals 3, where someone else is always part of the equation but you may not be a part of that equation. Sila na lang or okay lang ako, you know. So this extreme sense of like it's okay, they can have it. Okay lang ako, I'm fine. And so that may be one. If you do it once or twice, that's fine. We all do it. But if that's sort of like the mantra of your life, never mind me, because you could empathize on how the other person is feeling, and you're sort of like always putting yourself in the back burner. That may be a shadow side of over empathizing. Another one is that you simply don't grow, right? Because when you are over helping someone, you also might stifle their growth. It's possible, unless that's your child. But then again, I see parents who overhelp their children, and it seems rewarding for the parent, except sometimes when the child grows up to be an adult, they have they don't develop a trust within themselves, and they are not as innovative as when they are allowed to explore, because the parent is always over intervening, and the parent almost like over empathize with the child. If nahulog sila, if they fall down, nako, they're so quick to pick them up rather than allowing themselves to kind of balance themselves from their own fall. So that is figuratively and not. So you don't grow also when you do that. You don't allow other people to trust themselves, and you stifle your own growth. So that's one. Another one is you could overly, because you over empathize with someone, you become very sensitive and overly attuned to you think what they're feeling. By the way, you might also get that not accurately what they're feeling, because it's a projection of using your own experience. So you might think they're in pain, but they're like, well, I'm a little in pain. But for you, they're like, oh my gosh, they're overly in pain. So because you're very sensitive to others, it's possible with your own relationships that you could also be overly sensitive. You might misinterpret um, intentions of people, even though they are just giving information simply as feedback, but for you it kind of hurts your feeling because you have the ability to over empathize with other people. And then the other side of that is you expect others to read your mind and read the absence of even cues. I talk about pakikiramdam. I'm not talking about pakikiramdam. There is also a shadow side when it comes to that, but we'll talk about that in the next video. So, okay, another one is that like I mentioned that you stifle your growth, you stifle another person's growth, possibly, and you're probably wondering how do we get to be over empathizer, if that's even a word. It's when we here's a few possible reasons. When we teach our children rather than we force them rather than encourage them to help other people because we might use guilt maybe unintentionally, or we they might the child might feel shame, so they learn to survive that type of relationship with you as the parent. And it's like, wow, okay, well, if I over empathize, my culture tells me, nako, napakabait naman na bata to. So those things are rewarding when, a parent smiles at you, they nod, they're like, oh, napakabait na bata. And so you get reinforcement from that. You could also get that when also the adult models that, ay, kawawa naman. The word, the overuse of kawawa naman. Now, it is really true if you've been to the streets of Manila that that is truly applicable. There's a lot of children that are not able to eat 3 days, 3 meals a day. And it is appropriate also to teach our children that, oh, look at the children here. But the overuse of it can create guilt. And I think we can balance that. I try to also do that with my children where I'm teaching them these are things that are happening in the world, but you don't have to, it's not your fault, basically. So if you just say that these are the things that are happening in the world, but it's not your fault, here's what we can do together. And so that leads me to overburdening our children. If parents say, Nako, I do this, I do that, I do this, almost like complaining about the child's behavior. The child learns more to over empathize on the feeling of the parent, and they may become apologetic. Pasensya na, which is not a bad thing. And all of these are like, if it's a pattern, we are constantly doing it. We are all humans here. So probably I have done that 1 or 2 times. But if it's not a pattern, don't worry about it. It's when that's your type of conversation that you have with your child, that I do this, I do that, and this is all I get from you. That type of conversation, it overburdens the child. The child becomes an expert with reading the cues, even the facial movements of the parents, and they forget to learn about their own internal cues, and they begin to over empathize towards others, and they don't develop the ability to empathize within themselves. I'm stepping on my my words here. So just a few reasons, okay? Potential reasons. Now, what to do? First of all, to change your experience. It doesn't matter if that's your pervasive, meaning ongoing experience as a child. Everything can be changed, but everything can be changed with practice. Be tender with yourself. So, to change your experience, allow yourself to experience something different. Okay, do something different. Enter relationships that may feel awkward in the beginning, but it's like, wow, I think this is good for me. If for instance it's awkward for you to make friends, because that's been your conditioning, it's frightening to be close to people. um First, don't trust your intuition yet when you haven't practiced enough. um and because you think your intuition is telling you, oh, don't make friends, it feels awkward, my body does not feel safe. But that's called conditioning, that's not your intuition. Your intuition truly can be buried. And how you know that is do it anyway, and then trust the voice after. So let's say It's scary to have make friends, new friends, and your body's telling you not to do it, but you're like thinking in your head, this must be good for me. You did it. The voice after that is more your voice of intuition. And if it says, "Oh my god, that was so scary, but that wasn't bad at all," that's the one that you want to keep doing. So, the answer to changing any behavior, any mindset that used to be beautiful but now is toxic, is to change the experience and also your language around it. I'm going to link what I call the story therapy, because that's kind of the framework that I do. But you could do it on your own, even if you are not entering a therapy with me. That's okay. I just want to share it with you because you could probably use it in your own space. I hope this has been helpful. Keep being empathizing with others. You could actually be an empathizer. Am I making that up? But also, you could also empathize with yourself. You could, we all are trying to find the balance. So there's no need to choose that you just over empathize with others and you forget yourself. You could also remember both others and yourself. I hope this video served you well. Maraming salamat po. Ingat.